it's not just the attack that's thin in terms of not even just reserves, but also the squad itself. You look at the fact that they've got 4 central defenders in that team. Jonathan Tah, Kim, Upamecano, and Hiroki Ito. At least 2 of them are pretty injury prone. Kim's had issues all last season. A lot of chat about him moving on. Very quickly get yourselves into a situation where Bayern are relying on Jonathan Tah to be an outstanding signing and hit the ground running very quickly there. Equally, right backs still haven't sorted that position out. It's still this kind of afterthought. There's just this kind of hope that Konrad Laimer and Stanisic can kind of bundle that one together between them. Sasha Boye's obviously in the squad, but he's just not a player that I think is capable of being fit for the full season. So right back's still a huge issue there. And like the thing is with that right back position as well, I feel is that okay, they've got 3 players who can technically play that position, but if you're Bayern Munich and you're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, I don't rate any of those 3 players to be a right back for Bayern Munich. The centre back position, very easily find yourself in a situation where it's like Ito and Jonathan Tah up against some of the best players in the world, which I think is a big question mark. And then you go to the midfield position, you're absolutely right. Obviously, they've got Pavlovic, Kimmich, Bischoff, and Goretzka. It looks very, very likely that Bischoff's going to have to play a very significant role in this team, which, okay, fair enough. He's one of the best young players in German football last season, so that's why they bought him. But I didn't think I thought Goretzka had good games last season, but there was still a lot of talk about him potentially moving on as well because he's just one of these kind of lumbering older players that the best years are behind him. You then move into attack, same situation with Luis Diaz. But as well as that, you're also, looking, as you said, looking around that squad. Musiala obviously picked up a huge injury. He'll be out for the first half of the season. Who's going to step in there? They're hoping that Paul Vanner can be that guy. Okay, fair enough. If they want to go down this direction of relying on the youth players, I'm sure the fans will appreciate that. But in terms of their summer signings, there's not a huge amount of inspiration there. We've talked at length about Luis Diaz and, whether he's a guy who can step in there. I think he can be a perfectly solid like-for-like replacement for Leroy Sané, but we're talking about a squad who's missing Sané and Thomas Muller, and we'll be missing Jamal Musiala for the first half of the season. And all Bayern have done so far is bring in Luis Diaz and hope that maybe Paul Vanner can step up with a couple of goals here and there. And that's without even talking about the prospect of Kingsley Coman leaving. We're talking about a club here who should have aspirations of challenging for the Champions League. And I just think if you kind of add all the positives and negatives up here, man, I think we're definitely kind of looking at a squad that are missing 2 or 3 big names. By all means, they might go out and get them. They're obviously linked with Xavi Simons. They're still linked with Nick Waldemada. They've been linked with Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea. As things stand, I would say Bayern haven't done particularly well in this transfer window.